welcome to Hi Haley.
Great to be here.
You're the one person I've wanted on this, so I'm super glad you're here. Before we get started, can you tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, Kathryn Kvas, Solutions Director here at Ascendex Consulting and lead our Accelerate practice. So what we do within that practice is really work with organizations going through any major technology transformation and needing an implementation. And so what we do is ERP, CRM, data and BI, and anything that might be tied to that as well with some data infrastructure. So we really work closely with organizations, any size, figure out what's best for them. There's a lot out there, a lot of different capabilities, and there's a lot of different organizations. So excited to talk through today some options too along that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of options.
There is a lot.
So one thing we ask everybody is, what's your favorite show, or like what are you watching on TV right now?
You know, I am going to go rogue and probably say a movie because it is summer and so want to be outside as much as I can. But Unfrosted is a new
Such a good
movie. It's so great.
Such a
Who doesn't love Pop-Tarts? So if you want to watch a movie about a Pop-Tarts, it's great.
Netflix. Was it on Netflix?
Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's been my favorite movie of the month. May, that being May, but loved that movie.
Well, and Jerry Seinfeld directed and produced. So you know it's going to be good and a good laugh.
It was one of those movies where you start watching it and then a new character would come on screen, and so many famous people were in the movie, and I just eat those up.
Yeah, it was great.
So, well, awesome. So today, I know we're talking about, there's so many different ones you can choose from, but we pinpointed finance and operations and business central. So we're kind of going to break those down and, what works best depending on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I think it's important to, especially with the Microsoft stack, a lot of organizations like to stick within one, and Microsoft has two great options. And it's really just getting down to kind of what that business needs, who they are, growth aspirations, and we can kind of walk through that.
All right. So what do we have here? Finance and supply chain and business central.
So this is Microsoft's two options from an ERP perspective. So Business Central, as you can see here, is really fit more for the small and medium businesses versus finance and supply chain is more of that medium and a large. So really thinking about very complex organizations. They could be large in scale. They could be global. There's a lot more intricacies that are required. And that's kind of why they divvied out and decided to have two disparate offerings because they're very different business needs. So what you'll see here too on some of this, it goes down to pricing. With the Business Central, a great option for that is it's more out of box. So with that, the price point and maybe some of the features might not be as robust, but the benefit to that is easier implementation out of box. So great for folks who might not have as complex business structures, very standard, which is always a good thing to be.
Amen.
So that's a great option for them. And then on the finance and supply chain side, this goes down to, you see finance in the name. It lends itself to it, where anytime you need significant financial controls from a pricing perspective, it's a little bit higher, but because you get that robustness. And that's kind of what you'll see in the screen below when we're going through of just different ways of why you might select some. So mention the complexity in the business processes is a big one, where finance and supply chain will allow you to really change and organize some of their functionality within and those capabilities to tailor to your organization what's needed, versus BC. The benefits is that easier setup, but it might not have as inherent ability to, I would say, massage the application to what's needed. But a lot of times, if you're a smaller or medium-sized organization, you might not need to do that.
Which makes your life easier. I mean, you can modify any part of D365, which is kind of scary, but I think Microsoft gives you a lot of options. But
yes. And, the look and feel which you know too, Haley, from a user perspective, they're pretty similar. So that's also nice too. We've had clients that have been on Business Central and they're actually looking to move to finance and supply chain. So from a change management perspective, that's also a huge benefit when you're looking at those, is you have that capability to also easily scale up when needed if your business grows like gangbusters and you're ready for that next
What a
evolution.
problem to have.
Yeah.
I think it's nice too that Microsoft has been consistent with everything, like across anything of theirs. They all look and feel the same and they all talk to each other.
And that's what I think has been, I would say, over the last couple of years with Microsoft, the huge benefit and advocate that for them is that capability, especially with the Power Apps. So not only inherently built in with these tools, can you easily connect, but also the capabilities kind of write your own and be able to even connect in a more customizable way for that bi-directional communication to whatever other platforms you might be connecting to these.
Yeah. So the next one, global operations. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the global operation side, what's really nice about finance and supply chain is when you start to get into the nuances of taxes, any regulations as you look at across countries, it has that inherent capability in there and a lot of functionality to support that. So that's something when we talk about more of those medium and large enterprises, especially in the manufacturing space where you might be getting raw materials or goods from other countries, it lends itself easily to that. And that's where on our checklist, if you pick one or the other, if you're more on the global side, we do usually recommend the finance and supply chain versus Business Central, but Business Central still has the capabilities there. It just, it might take a little bit more tweaking depending on how complex it is.
Yeah, I've seen D365 account for kind of anything you wouldn't think, oh, I wonder if there's a feature for that, but you flip through feature management and they've thought of it, and it's simply, turn on this country and they've got all your options there. So maybe I'm biased, but.
And that's the other piece too. I think the speed to implementation. What's really nice about Business Central is on average, that's what we've seen is we can do it up within 4 to 6 months, which can be really beneficial, especially if you're making the business decision and you want to do it before your new year. Some of that may play into effect with that. And also, I would say on the implementation side too, you might not need as big of a team, especially on the client side, knowing that still having to run the day-to-day business. And so there's a huge benefit there on the BC side, which is that speed to implement. And then on the F&O, I still call it F&O. Sometimes they rebrand it. Finance and supply chain. Where those, because they are more complex in nature, there's more feature capabilities. They'll take roughly a year to 2 years, potentially longer on each side. These are just averages. So that's something else to consider as you're looking at them. Now, that should not be your sole reason for choosing one versus the other, but just like to give another point to it and kind of how they're different and what might sway you one way or the other.
And then last but not least, we kind of touched on it earlier. Wait, did we talk about heavy financial controls?
That I was going to say, I can pop into that one, and we did touch on integration capabilities. So on the financial control side of the house, really what's nice about the finance and supply chain is you have a lot of capabilities around the general ledger and certain other controls for finance. You can lock down certain things for only your finance team. You can do that on the BC side, but there's just a few additional features there that are really nice to have, especially if you're looking at a lot of the times organizations might choose finance and supply chain because they're seeing those benefits because one of their business goals is to decrease time to month end. So let's say their month end normally takes 2 weeks. They really want to get it down to a week. There's a lot of functionality within finance and supply chain to support that effort and goal.
Mhm. And
But yeah,
then
this is
integration capabilities, we kind of already touched on it, but I think that's so important, simply because so many people have so many different things going on, and the ability that both of these have to talk to just anybody, I think is important.
Yeah, I think Microsoft has done a really good job too, with their entire suite on making sure that they have the capabilities to connect to a lot, whether that's within the suite or outside. So both of them do a terrific job at that. And the Power Apps we mentioned and other things that they have at your arsenal to be able to leverage as well just makes it really nice. And a lot of the times we've seen with clients too is some of the reporting capabilities and functions, especially with partners or vendors outside.
Mhm.
Those integration capabilities can actually make it really easy for that. So that's another big benefit. I think just Microsoft overall, when you're looking across many different platforms that are out there, that's one of their, I think, no pun intended, but power moves that they've made over the last couple of years.
Well, I think our next face-off should be like Business Central versus NetSuite, because I think those two are comparable. They're kind of in
Yes.
the same section there.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you back on for that.
Definitely. Yeah, this is
Well,
the fun stuff. And this is really, I mean, we work with a lot of clients and organizations that are just looking at these. There's so much out there, which is
mhm.
great. We are in the world today, right, where we have abundance of options, but then that can be very overwhelming, to choose what's right, especially with this as a financial investment for your future. So love that idea for us to dig into NetSuite, add that one in, and
Yeah.
maybe Oracle, SAP as well as a comparison to finance and supply chain.
Yeah, lots to choose from, and start narrowing them down for people. Maybe it'll save somebody some stress.
Exactly. That's our goal.
That's our goal. That's our goal here at Ascendex. Well, Kathryn, thanks so much for joining. Hi, Haley. Like I said, we're going to get you back on the show.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank